carried us through the wasteland of the process. Now you're done. Now we're throwing you away. So did you do anything to mark the journey that you've gone on with them?
I haven't done anything yet. I do feel sad, right? Like I feel sad because I wanted, at this point you basically have Embiid and TJ McConnell are the only holdovers from the process who are still on the team. And from the process, from the Hinkie process. And it's sad, right? It's sad that the roster's turned over that much. I think that was part of it, but I think the part of the reason that when this rebuild started, I think a lot of people imagine, like, I think I've said this kind of thing before, but I think people saw it as very linear, right? Like in 2013, they'll draft Nerlens Noel and he'll be the center. And then the next year they'll draft, whoever, Wiggins or Embiid, and that person will fill into that role. And it hasn't really worked like that, right? Like you've basically along the way, you've made so many missteps or have just kind of had this constant turnover, like with MCW, like with various picks they've had. I think it's been it's interesting, right? Because like you went through this long process and don't have a lot of like battle tested guys through it. And Covington was one of those. Covington was like the guy who really, even more than Embiid, because Embiid didn't play those 2 years. Covington was like really here for almost all of it. I do think I'm going to get a Prince jersey. I haven't decided if I'm going to get the Saric or the Covington Prince jersey. Yeah. I do love that Dario Saric is wearing 36, so I might have to go with him.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a bizarre number, but I also really like it. Also, the 6 in that font is really cool. The Prince alternate jerseys.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's sad. I feel like most people assumed maybe that like Covington was the guy who was going to stay. He was like a piece for when the quote unquote buildup is done and the Sixers are good again, that maybe Covington would be a role player and be like the bridge, like the guy they found, the undrafted guy who signed that indentured servitude contract, the 4-year Hinkie special, but then got paid and was still around. So it is kind of sad. I guess if you guys,
he was like the Nick Collison, right? Like the one who like Durant played a year in Seattle before going to the Thunder. Like Nick Collison was like there for it, right?
Right.
Like Embiid feels more like he was there, but it's not the same, right? Like he was there for the very tail end of it and wasn't playing. And Covington like was there when they went 0-17 to start the year. Like he was playing those games. Yeah. So I wanted to see him turn that into an Eastern Conference Finals appearance or God willing, a championship at some point. Like you wanted to see that progression.
Well, my condolences to you and all the true process believers for your loss of Robert Covington. If you guys are trying to fill out that roster, I mean, Hollis Thompson, Tony Wroten, those guys, they're available. Tony
Wroten would be the 8th or 9th best player on the Sixers right now.
Oh, that's great.
I'm pretty sure he's just hanging out in Seattle. I don't think he's playing anywhere.
My last question: if, as a firm believer in the process, why wouldn't Elton Brand right now trade Jimmy Butler to the Rockets for 1st-round picks?
Yeah. No, there's still time to flip him. You can flip him at the deadline, right?
I'd flip him, man. Elton Brand would be a god if you flipped him. He could come out to the rights of the Ricky Sanchez lottery party with his hands raised. People would carry him around the city. I don't know. It's my idea.
I do think it's I mean, it's not surprising because it's Tibbs, but it is kind of surprising that Glenn Taylor signed off on a deal that just did not give the Wolves any future value in a season where they're not going to be competitive. I mean, they're going to win, like maybe they'll make sneak into the playoffs. I don't think they will, but they could. But I just don't understand what value Dario Saric, Robert Covington really bring you, right? Like they could have. I think the Sixers would have gladly given them Markelle Fultz instead of one of those guys at this point. Dude, just like Markelle Fultz straight up and Bayless, I think would have been a better deal for the Sixers. The Sixers would have probably preferred that right now. And would have been better for them too, because it actually gives them someone who, like, at this point the chance is low, but there's a chance he turns into a piece that they need.
Yeah, I
don't think Covington or Saric are that. I don't know how they get to a point where Covington and Saric are the difference makers. Like what between them being the 10 seed and the 8 seed, right?
Yeah, they screwed up. The Timberwolves screwed up bad not taking Josh Richardson. I can't believe they passed up on that. I guess one more final thing. I do need to apologize. I think when you were on like 2 years ago, I was pointing out how I had correctly spelled out that the Jared Bayless contract was a terrible deal when it was signed. I was wrong. They were able to flip that into Jimmy Butler. So that's all right. You guys were right, process people. I was wrong.
As Basketball Reference. When people in 20 years go on Basketball Reference, they're like, "Wow, Jared Bayless is traded for Jimmy Butler."
Yeah, exactly.
He's part of that deal.
That was a good signing. You guys knew what you're doing. All right, Max, thank you for coming on. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on the Sixers. Tell people where they can hear your stuff and maybe buy one of your awesome shirts to commemorate the loss of Robert Covington if it's coming out. I don't know. I'm just giving you ideas.
Yeah, we have not done. I think we have to do this. Some sort of Sharge Covington. We were talking about doing some sort of like. I know obviously the Rice Ricky Sanchez did the full like all the names of everyone in the process, but I think there are some names that are like that stand out a little more than others. The Jakar Sampsons, the Nerlens Noels, the Jeremy Grants. I want to do something commemorating like the true process OGs, and I haven't figured out how we should do that. If anybody has a good idea for like kind of a almost kind of like the Beatles album cover with all the references, whatever, something like that. I haven't figured out what that's going to be. But yeah, if you want to check out the Jimmy Butler shirts we have now that he's here, or if you want to buy, we have a lot of really good Dario shirts, so that was really sad too. Some of my favorite Step Over Tees shirts were Dario shirts, so it's a little sad. We're still brainstorming some Jimmy Butler ones. We have a couple up, but not as good as the Dario ones, in my opinion.
Yeah, so that's all the Step Over is the your podcast and the name of the T-shirts, right?
Yeah, at the _Step Over on Twitter.
Hey, well, thanks again for coming on, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Keith.
All right, thanks to Max for coming on. You can check out, he's got a podcast, the Sixers podcast, that's part of SB Nation now, the Step Over, and he makes a lot of Sixers-specific T-shirts, Step Over tees. You can check all that out. Nashville people, remember we have a Grizzlies watch party this Friday at Double Dogs Sylvan Heights. We're back at Double Dogs Sylvan Heights at 7 p.m. for the Kings Grizzlies game. If you want more Fast Break Breakfast, you get that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Yeah, never apologize for being G&G. Fast break, man. You understand?